Hi and welcome to Just Salvos Live. I'm Jen Peterson and today we are celebrating International Women's Day. It is the 100th anniversary of International Women's Day and it's really exciting to have two female guests in the studio today. We have Ali and we have Gay from the Salvation Army and they're going to be talking about family violence and oppression of women generally. We're really looking forward to it and it's coming up now. Well, it's great to have Ali McGavin here in the studio. Thank you, Ali, for being a part of the show. And on a very, very important occasion, it's International Women's Day. I would like you to tell me, some people say that women are the most oppressed group in the world. Would you say that this is true?
Look, I don't think there's any doubt that women still are a long way behind in issues of health, employment, harassment, sexual assault. There are so many issues in which women around the world, in the developing world, are struggling, and even in Australia, where women still don't have equal opportunity in the same way that men do.
What about thinking globally? What are some of the ways that women are oppressed?
Look, there are lots of ways in which women are disadvantaged. If we look at boys' education, primary school education, for every 100 boys, only 96 girls are educated, and usually they're educated to a lower standard, less years in school. If we look at things like HIV/AIDS, women in South Africa make up 58% of the HIV sufferers, and they're at great disadvantage there. In Madagascar, for example, women are 83% of the agricultural workforce, but they only own 15% of the land holding. So they're just small examples, but women around the world have a very disadvantaged position.
Yeah, and I think if we looked at any of the big social issues affecting our world, we would see that possibly women within that issue are more disadvantaged even in that regard. So really they are...
On every scale just about, women are always disadvantaged because of the nature of the way societies are set up, and traditionally women have been excluded from the workforce, have been under the control of the family, particularly men in some cultures, and they've just been disadvantaged from the beginning.
Yeah. Now look, we're assuming that this is not because women are somehow less than men. We assume that it's not something genetic about women that is somehow inferior to men. So why? Why are women being oppressed? Why do they suffer less than men? And why is it important for us to gain equality?
Look, it comes back to basic power relationships in society, and they may be deep-seated and long existing, and they continue today, where men still hold power in society, and that's exercised sometimes without thinking in ways that disadvantage women. We think of violence in the home, etc., where women are the subject of that to 95% of the time. It's the way society is constructed. I mean, I would argue that masculinity in its overt form is really bad for men. That, we need to re-envisage masculinity, and women's equality is good for men, it's good for society generally, it's good for all of us to have that equal respect for our humanity.
Look, we've got a clip from The Girl Effect and we want you to watch this and pay attention to this because it's a really great and simple clip for us to get a bit of an understanding. Here we go. Wow, that was a powerful clip. Well, with me also in the studio is Gay from the Salvation Army's Family Violence Outreach Service. Gay, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, what did you think of the clip? Both of you.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Yes, it really was. It says it all.
Look, we want to talk about, that's very much a global situation. It's very important, but we've got some really important issues affecting women here in Australia. And one of those issues is family violence. Gay, I'm wondering if you can tell us, what is family violence?
So historically, family violence is seen as a physical thing against women, but perpetrated by men, and the statistics actually show that. But it's sexual abuse, physical, verbal, emotional, and now we're seeing the impact of technology as well.
Wow. How wide would we say family violence is? How prevalent? Do we know figures on this?
There is a lot of figures around, but the word I would use would be insidious.
Yeah.
I mean, we certainly know that $11.4 billion it costs the Australian economy every year to deal with the effects of family violence.
Yeah. So why is it happening? How is it caused? Is it a disease that's caused, or is this something that we can overcome? What's the situation?
I don't know if we can use the word overcome. I think it's something, it's about power and control usually. And yes, it's ongoing, in that the support that's provided and prevention around family violence, there's not enough being done, and I think the community acknowledgement of the effects of family violence is lacking.
So what is the Salvation Army doing? What's the Salvation Army doing to help women in this situation?
I'm part of a program called the Family Violence Outreach Program, which sits with the Salvation Army Crisis Services in St Kilda, and the program that we work with provides practical support to women and children experiencing family violence. Everything practical, from going to a legal appointment. If the woman requires an intervention order, we would sit with her through that process in the court, as a court process is very daunting. From there, all of the support that we provide to this woman is done around a case plan that she identifies she requires. So that's about providing empowerment for the woman. And so we'll start from there. She might say, I require counselling. We would link her with counselling. We would perhaps go to Centrelink with her. This is all the practical support around her payments. She's entitled to whatever payments through Centrelink. We would link her children with whatever support, perhaps, and housing, of course, which is a big one, and we all know about the housing situation. If the women and children were to go into a transitional house, these children are having to leave where their schooling is, their play groups, and so we would advocate for the women and children for, whatever the children need in that area. So it's about what she needs, and linking with lawyers or anything else. We work very closely with Victoria Police. It's one of the biggest changes over the last few years in the police response to family violence. We respond on a daily basis to faxes that we receive from the police. Wow. So when the police attend a family violence incident, they do an assessment with the AFM, who's the affected family member, the perpetrator, who's usually the male, the partner, husband, and also the children. So we receive a fax from the police stating that this was the incident, and we ring the woman. The men's behaviour programs receive a fax, and then the children, if necessary, are linked with either Child First or Child Protection. But we would also be linked in that process. Because we only work with women and children, we have a relationship with the men's program, and that's about men's accountability. So that's another big change. But those faxes actually provide women with, she might just want information. So what we're saying is that there's support out there to give the woman the information, which, knowledge is power.
Ali, what's the message that we want to get out there in the community on family violence?
Look, I think the message is that everyone knows somebody who's been affected by family violence, and it's not good enough to just brush it under the carpet. We know people in our own families, our own community, and our own street. There are lots of services, lots of ways we can support and link people into help. it's not good enough. We just mustn't put up with it anymore. And I'd urge women and men and members of the community to stand up against family violence and be proactive, link women up, make contacts, you know, take them and support them to get help for family violence.
I run a children's program, and one of the things I'm constantly saying is violence is not okay in any situation, because they have all these, oh yeah, except when. And I think, you know, the message for me really is there is no exception. We don't accept violence against women, against children or against men. Absolutely. And, you know, I just thank you so much for coming, both of you, today. Look, if there's one final thing that you can tell us, what's something the general public can be doing? We know that the Salvation Army are helping, Victoria Police are helping. There are many groups helping. What's the average Joe going to do to help improve the situation?
Look, from my point of view, it's talk about it. Get it out there, get it up front, get it as part of community consciousness, so that it's not a secret swept under the carpet. Unless you can identify it and talk about it, you can't do anything about it.
Absolutely, Anne. I absolutely agree with what Annie has just said.
Look, thank you so much for joining us today, and on International Women's Day, it's just been a pleasure to have you both. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
It's hard not to be impacted by today's information and today's show. If there's two takeaways for me, it's that first one, that violence is never okay, not in any situation. And number two, for me, it's that women are going to need some more help from us all in order to start balancing the inequality that exists between males and females, both locally and internationally. I would really encourage you to go and check out the Girl Effect website. It's got that clip and more information on how we gain women's equality both internationally, particularly, and then also locally. And we look forward to next week's episode of Just Salvos Live with Janet Munn. Until then, see you later.